Guys, I'm so excited. Today we have the woman who works. That's kind of our running joke. I'll get into it later. We have my dear friend, Sydney. She is the director of brand marketing at beis. So this bitch knows what the fuck she's doing. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It's I, the woman who works here on the pod.
We have to just do a little quick intro of how that came about. So we've become dear friends with Sydney just through her working at beis and us going to events. And we were at the Rare Beauty beis Friendsgiving. Mm-hmm. And Kelsey was like, oh, yeah, Sydney, you would make such a great podcast guest because you like work. And Sydney was like,
it's like, so that's the angle?
Yeah.
I am the woman who works.
Which we'll get into, she just was amongst Forbes 30 under 30, which is like one of the most iconic lists you can be on. She is like a real... I will never use this word. I will never use like boss bitch.
Oh, this will be good.
But if I were to use boss bitch, you are boss bitch.
Should I get it on a mug?
Yes, you should. You should get it on a t-shirt. I know you have so much wisdom and finding your passion and being really good at it before the age of 30 is huge. And you have a lot of insight that you can offer. So why don't you introduce yourself and kind of talk about your journey leading up to where you are now?
Wow, what an introduction.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm Sydney. I'm so excited to be here. I'm originally from Chicago.
You are?
Yeah.
Wait, what part of Chicago?
I love the pause.
Sorry.
Already. I'm from Lincoln Park.
Is that okay? So that's actually Chicago.
Yeah.
My boyfriend's from Naperville.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait.
I love my Chicago people.
I feel like we might have done this because why did I know that?
Okay, then maybe we did.
Yes, I'm from Chicago.
Okay.
My family now is split between here and Florida and then some of the Chicago suburbs, but I'm originally from Chicago. I'm one of 7 children, but multiple marriages. I
didn't know that. Damn. You're learning so much.
I've said 2 sentences.
Holy shit.
Yes, multiple marriages, but I'm the baby of the first batch, I say.
Okay.
And I've had to help my parents raise the younger 4. And that I think has set me up for where I am now and like the way that I've led my career and all of that. But so from Chicago, born and raised, I went to Wisconsin for college, go Badgers.
Hey.
And 2 days after college, I moved out to California and kind of the rest was history. I had no idea what I wanted to do.
Where did you go to school for?
Gender and women's studies.
And you, hey.
This is everyone's favorite question because they're like marketing, right? I'm like, I had no idea what marketing was.
No, but no one's doing anything with their degree.
Zero.
Right? Yeah.
I went in originally for journalism. I wanted to be like Juliana Rancic. I was like, that I'm gonna be her. I'm gonna crush it. E-News. And then it was the end of my freshman year. I had to take an elective and it was a gender women's studies course. And I struggled a lot with my identity growing up. My dad's Black, Southern Baptist, my mom, New York, Jewish, white. Mm-hmm. And we grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood. And so there was just always a lot of like questions and comfort or discomfort and insecurity. And so I took this class and it was like the first time that I felt any sense of understanding and self-understanding and confidence. And I was like, I don't know what that means, but I just kind of have to follow this feeling. And so I switched my major. My parents are like, am I allowed to swear in this podcast?
Girl, please. The woman who fucking works.
The woman who fucking works. Her parents were like, what the fuck are you going to do for work?
Right.
And I didn't know.
As anybody that did women and gender studies.
Right. And my minor was LGBT studies. They were like, oh, great. So minor and major. Like, what is the plan? Right. I had no plan. I just started kind of trying different things. Speaking of being a woman who works, I worked through college and I was really fortunate to not have to, but I always wanted to. Like, I'm not someone who can just sit by and sit on my hands. So I tried a bunch of different jobs. I worked at a clothing store. I worked as a waitress at a country club. And then I started getting internships. And there was a marketing PR internship that I did. And I still didn't really understand what I was doing. I was just like being helpful and networking. And then I wrote a lot. I had a blog. I love to write. I've always loved to share. And I've always loved to like expose myself to help other people. So I started a blog and I was having fun with that. Long story short, I was going to go the teaching route. I was actually a sex ed teacher when I was in school.
Shut up. Wait,
the woman who works.
You really have worn many a hat.
No,
holy
many.
shit.
Like I'm definitely
You weren't wrong.
I'm leaving
the
some
bitch
out.
has been working. Like, holy shit.
I did. I found it like through my major. There was this group of students hired by the University of Wisconsin we got trained by doctors and professionals. And then we would go to whoever hired us as an organization to teach classes. And there were various classes like safe sex, pleasure. Like we had to learn all
Do you
of
have
these
like
things.
one, like to interject, what is like the most random sex ed tidbit?
Oh
Like give me like a
God.
crazy, like I've never met somebody so well versed in sex ed, and I like give me Life's a Joke After Hours, baby. Tune in tonight. What's like
I won't. There's not like a crazy. I mean, I
Okay.
think when people were learning about STDs, especially at that age, or STIs, sorry,
Yep.
at that age, it was just like everything was new information, and I was
Got
always
it.
having to deliver that. I would say the toughest part of the job was though you can't sexualize yourself in the process, and you have to use really gender neutral language. So it's a job that like we are having this conversation where
Yeah.
like you can't point at yourself and display. I mean, there were classes where we had to teach like the condom on the banana and things like that.
Yeah.
We were actually using a dildo, not a banana. And banana. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just had to be so careful and so mindful. And I will never forget the most pressure ever was there was a course that was requested by the incoming freshman class football players.
Oh gosh.
And I had to teach it.
Are you kidding?
And boy, was that a ride.
Were they just like giggling and
oh my God, there were so many things interjected and said, and it was crazy. Fun.
You were like an HR dream then. Like
nightmare. No, I'm a nightmare.
Why?
Because I have no boundaries and I'll say
Yeah, but you
anything.
also know how to talk about really
I do.
Nuanced and potentially controversial things in
Yeah.
like a very even keeled way. Like
yeah, and that's definitely what's helped. I would say like the sex ed job is why I am so confident doing my job
Of
today.
course.
And there were a lot of avenues to get here, which whatever, but being the person that has to stand in front of a group of people that are your peers, mind
Yeah.
you, I'm their age, and putting yourself out there and saying really uncomfortable things, I feel like I can do anything.
Yeah.
You know, like if once I got past that, nothing is scarier
Yep.
than that. And there was like live Q&As and thinking on your feet. And that really set me up. So then I was like, okay, education is it for me. Like I really enjoyed helping people. And a lot of my friends through that process would treat me like a doctor and text me and be like, is this normal?
Yeah.
You know? So I loved having like a service that I could provide. And then I was going to go down the Teach for America path. I was doing the interview rounds, and this is when, my true colors shine. They
Okay.
were like, these are the most at need areas this year. And I was like, I am not that good of a person. Like I was like panicked. I was like, I'm born and raised in Chicago. I'm in Wisconsin, which felt so small to
Yeah.
me. And I always saw my life in a city. And it was like rural Mississippi, and you make a 2-year commitment and you do it. And I was just like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't do it. And I was really disappointed in myself because I was like, this means a lot to you. You can do it. No, I just couldn't. So I took my name out of the hat. We're getting close to graduation. My parents are like, what's the deal? A friend of mine who had graduated before me from Orange County was starting a swimwear line that was all about body positivity and all this stuff. And she and her family had come to campus, and we talked about it, and I was helping her just with like messaging, positioning, what I know now is marketing. But at the time I was just like helping my friend. And they were like, why don't you come live with us for the summer? You don't have to pay rent. We'll take care of you. Just come help her launch the brand. And then you can figure it out from there. And so I packed up my car 2 days after graduation, did that, and I've been here for almost 8 years.
That is like also, I love that all of that, because I always like my biggest piece of advice, because we always get questions specifically from like young girls who are like, how do I figure out what I like to do?
Yeah.
How do I know what's meant for me? And I always say, just like try a bunch of things.
100%.
Because like even you saying like you doing sex ed, you're not doing that now, but you gaining the confidence because of that job, like that's a huge skill set that now allows you to do what you do.
And there was a through line too so when I worked at the clothing store, it was a new store on campus. We weren't getting enough customers in the store. They wanted social media. And at the time it was like Instagram, but it still wasn't what it is today. Yeah. And I was like, well, I'll start the Instagram. And then it was like, we need content. And so I would pay my friends in clothes to come in and take pictures. And then I started their ambassador program. And then now there was all these women doing it every month, and we had all this content. It was super fun. Again, marketing, branding, but I didn't know what I was doing.
Of course.
So I had that. And then when I moved to LA, I helped her through the summer, and then I started getting the scaries, and I was like, okay, I'm actually liking California. Like maybe I'll stay. And I just started reaching out to my whole network of everyone I've ever met. And I was just like, what does your parent do? And how can I? And is anyone in LA? And do you have whatever? So I was having a million conversations.
Which is what you have to do when you're in LA.
And you have to put your friend,
yourself out.
Yourself.
Yeah. And your friends. Put your friends out there.
Put everyone out there. So I was putting myself out there, and a family friend of mine on my dad's side had worked at a really large agency in LA. And she said, the digital marketing team is hiring for an entry-level assistant. You should come in for an interview. Had no idea what that meant, digital marketing. And it was all about like paid advertising and then parts of social media and all of this stuff. And so I was like, okay, I'll do anything. Like, I just want to stay. And my dad was like, I'm not going to support your dreams of living in California. Like, you need to figure it out. So I went in, I got that job, and that was amazing because working at an agency, I knew very quickly that that wasn't like my landing place, but I was working with so many different types of clients, like across beauty, tech, different talent, different things. And so I was able to just try and like learn different sides of marketing. And I quickly made my way more to like the integrated marketing side, events, activations. But what really set my career on fire at that age, I would say, is it comes back to the sex ed thing.
Yeah.
One of the agency clients was like an adult camming website, and no one wanted to work on it.
An adult camming,
like a webcam, like
oh,
and like before OnlyFans.
Oh wow, thing. Okay.
And they wanted to do this rebrand and about like sexual health and help and representation, and no one wanted to work on it. Of course. And I was like, I will. Yeah. I mean, I was 22. I'm like, oh, I've done this. Like, I'm okay with that. And so I put myself out there in a way that like other assistants did and things like that. And all of a sudden, every 6 weeks, I was traveling to Europe because they were a European client, and I was being put forth to make these large presentations and public speaking with them. And it was just crazy. Yeah. And I was getting all these opportunities. And so I had my other clients too, but that very quickly became like my largest client, and it gave me a lot of visibility within the organization. And so I was able to grow.
Damn.
And then after the agency, I was there for almost 4 years. And then I went over to a sexual health brand. So I was doing brand marketing, vibrators, lube, like that was my jam.
I'm like, if you can market like that,
right.
Corner of product or lifestyle, you can fucking market anything.
Especially when you have a small budget and nobody, COVID things changed, I think, with the conversation. But especially at that time where no one, influencers didn't want to talk about it. You can't really use Meta to promote it. Like, you had to be really careful. So there was a lot of like grassroots thinking, and I really had to learn. I always call it like the business school experience, because the team was so small and I was able to see business from every angle. And I was just like, okay, brand building I knew was my passion, but like, it's my passion.
Damn. You know? Okay. This all makes so much sense. Yeah. Like, that really, you probably just gained so much confidence from doing that. Because again, that was like a vertical that no one wanted to touch.
Yeah, exactly. And I loved it. I also love just like being the person that says the shocking thing. You know?
Yeah. Like, so you were at this time working with influencers and creators.
Yes.
Did you like that? Like, what was your first impression with working with influencers and creators, and how did you kind of bridge that dialogue?
Yeah, it's interesting because I do less of the behind the scenes work. Right. It's really like I'm just like working the room, and that's my job. But back then it was coming from the place of, we need to sell this product. We need to get it in more hands. We need new eyeballs. Who can we work with to help be an ambassador, to post about it, to get their friends interested and things like that? And I've always loved creators. I've always been the biggest fan of creators and influencing, because it's, well, one, I don't even understand why it's controversial and considered not a woman who works. It is a woman who works. Yeah. But two, I've always had the loveliest experiences. And I know that that is rare. And I hear that that's rare. But I have met, I have met the best people through this. I will say, from the work side of it, I am not the biggest fan of behind the scenes. The negotiations, the contracts.
Of course. That's where it gets ugly. That's the ugly part of it, for sure.
Not for me.
But you're also just really fucking nice. So like, there are a lot of people that are usually on that side that are also assholes, and then they deal with influencers that are assholes. But like, typically, if you're a good person, you're gonna attract good people.
So the question of first impressions, though, I always thought it was going to be like a lot scarier than it was, because when you're dealing with it on my end, it's your teams and it's agents or managers or whoever their team is, right? And there's so much, the negotiation process isn't like super friendly. Yeah. It's like, this is what they need, this is what we can offer, that's not going to work, back and forth. And yes, you meet nice people through that process, but it's always like, it's a service.
Totally.
So when I actually got to meet creators in person, that's when I was the most nervous because I was like, oh, maybe they'll just be a bunch of assholes.
Totally,
I don't know,
of course.
You know, this is super transactional. And it was the opposite. So then I'm just like, you gain a new appreciation because you're like, yeah, there's people hustling for that as they should.
Yeah.
And so I see so much value in it, and I think it's amazing.
And also just from the creator standpoint, you like any of the people, whether my relationships with brand direct or agencies, like I have some people that I really ride for, and I feel like the content I make for those brands are always really good because I just am such a big fan of them on a personal level that A, I put more work into it, and B, everybody kind of has a clear expectation of, okay, how can we find the perfect marriage between the creator and the brand and respect both parties?
Right.
Because there are a lot of brands that come in and kind of bulldoze creators and are here's 75 talking points, but make it 30 seconds, but make it your own language. But then on the flip side, there's also influencers that just like put no work into whatever they're doing. So I think that when you probably realize being a people person too is like, oh, if I have good relationships with these creators, it's probably going to be successful partnerships.
And I mean, I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly. I just like, I'm an optimistic person. It's how I choose to live my life. And I also, it's the same way I feel about LA. When I moved here, everyone was like, oh, it's so hard to meet people there. LA is the worst. I mean, you know, all the stereotypes. I have met the best people here.
Because it's just an attitude.
It's just, you attract, not to toot my own horn, but you attract what you are.
100%.
And it's so easy to fall into the wrong things in any part of life, but especially here. Like if you want to live a certain lifestyle, you can. It's available. But if that's not who you are and you're meeting people who are like you, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Like I have met the best people. So I think for me now, I don't lead our influencer marketing. So we work really close together. But I love the events. And I love the trips because I'm like, I just get to hang out with people that feel like my friends.
Yeah.
Which is the best.
See, I'm so happy I actually try to do, like, obviously I just know you as a friend, but I try to do very minimal research when I have somebody on because I just love to hear things from their perspective. Yeah. But I love all of this because I'm really a big advocate. I just answered on one of our last podcasts. Somebody said like, you know, how do you know what's meant for you? And I think a lot of people think that when I meet my person or when I get my dream job, like the doves are going to come out of heaven and it's going to be like, you know what I mean? And usually more times than not, the thing that you end up loving is the thing that like you just don't even, it's not even in the stratosphere of your brain. And then you just work a job or you are in a relationship or you go to an event or you meet a friend and you see something and you're like, oh wait, I kind of like that. That's interesting. And then it kind of just like, that's why I'm always like, take as many opportunities and 100%. Work fucking hard at whatever you're doing. Okay. So all of this, and then where are we getting into? We still haven't gotten to the part where you're like, you know, the working girl at beis.
Yeah. So I also have so many thoughts about that. But yes, just what you were saying with doors opening, and I always tell people, I'm like, there's multiple dream jobs. I think the people that get themselves into disappointment and trouble is when they're like, that was the dream. And I'm like, you will have multiple throughout your life. At every point in my career, every job I've had has been some sort of a dream at some point, right?
That's the fucking tea.
Yeah.
It's it's the same thing for like, you know, people that have been in relationships. Like when I see like, you know, people that were with their partner for a while and it doesn't work out. And it's like, we change so much throughout the course of our life. Gosh. You can't expect that the dream job that you had, how many of us wanted to be veterinarians when we were kids?
Seriously.
And then we're like, oh, maybe I want to do this. And then sometimes more times than not, the thing that you end up, I am actually.
She's also a little thick.
I'm surprised that hasn't happened sooner. I have a table next to Sydney that is just covered with fucking knickknacks and tchotchkes, and she just knocks them all over, and we're fucking.
Okay. We didn't have to talk about it.
Okay, wait. I think that I think that that's such a good point because as we change, our tastes change, our and also like our hustle changes.
Beyond.
Like when you're in your early 20s too, you're like, oh, I'm willing to fucking give it all I got. And then you get to a point where you're like, where you're fucking tired. And you're like, damn, I really like this, but I'm fucking tired. Okay. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah. There's just so much there. And I think also like the last 2 years of my life, I've experienced so much change. I couldn't even imagine. We can get into relationship stuff later, but like you just learn so much about yourself as you age and you work and life experiences. And I don't want people to ever get attached to one idea of where their life could go, because that's where the disappointment hits. And I know we've all been there in different ways, but I feel very passionately about that.
I like that.
Anyway, the beis side of it. So I was working at this sexual health company, really happy. Like I was not looking to move. I was doing my thing. We had a lot of dreams and goals, and there were frustrations and there were issues, as there are with any position.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine who I'd worked at the agency with and worked for, she went over to beis. She was over there, I think like 8 months.
And how long had beis been around at this point?
5 years.
Oh, damn. It's been that long? How long have you been at beis?
3 years. So.
Damn.
Yeah, we're 7.
Wow.
So is my math wrong? 4 years then. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So she had gone over to beis. She was there briefly, but in the process, she had taken the job as director of marketing. I was still at that company and she needed a right hand.
Okay.
So she reached out to me and she was like, hey, would you ever consider this? And I think if it was any other position, I would have said no, but beis was like up and coming and super cool. I really admired their work. I admired Shay. And I was like, I'd be an idiot to not take this conversation at least. And I do think in general, people just need to be open to conversation. You never know. And that was hard because I loved my team. I loved the man I worked for. His name was Weston. Shout out. We're still really good friends. I loved him and I didn't want to disappoint him by leaving, but I took that first interview for beis and it was like, oh.
Yeah.
So I took an interview. The first one was with my now boss, Liz, who you know.
Yep.
And she was just so cool and such a badass. And I remember having conversations with her, not just about work. It never felt like an interview. It was like they were gut checking me and who I am and what I stand for. And that's always a green flag to me because I'm like, you care, you know? And then I met our CEO, Adila, and she is just talk about boss bitch on a mug, you know? Yeah. And it was the mix of her career and what they were doing with beis, but it was also like a lot of my teammates have families and they have these big lives. And it's like, that's what I've always strived for. I want the balance. I want to be somewhere that cares about me. So I ended up going over to beis and I actually took a title demotion, which I always bring up. Because especially in career opportunities and advice, people are like, should I take a quote unquote lesser position, blah, blah, blah. I think you need to analyze the opportunity. And I knew where beis was sitting, that was a much larger opportunity than a title.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. So I went over to beis, took the risk, and thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God I did. So I started as a marketing manager. And then
and what does that entail?
What doesn't it entail?
I just feel like all of those marketing titles are so fucking vague. And now with social media, like what is fucking marketing? You know what I mean? Like it's social media, it's television, like literally everything is marketing. Yeah. So like how do you quantify this is marketing? Yeah. So how do you quantify like what the fuck you were doing?
Yeah. So when I came to beis, I will say, and like we're all very open about this, it was tough because the woman that I had worked with before was in the director role. And I think that gap of like my business school experience, I had learned so much and I had so many ideas and there just wasn't need for both of our roles. And we were such good friends. So we were like pretty vocal about this, but there wasn't a huge need at first. And then we kind of grew and figured out what we wanted to do. And honestly, at the time, I was handling a lot of what now, you know, Casey, our amazing creative director, she wasn't there at the time. And so I was doing a lot of like our copy and helping out with photo shoots and doing things like that and trying to help brand strategy where I could. And then slowly, my friend Courtney, who left the business, when she left is when I stepped more into that role. And that was when I started doing what I do now, which is I lead our partnerships, activations, our PR, brand strategy, product marketing, all of that. So it really happened really naturally. It was like, okay, we need to find a space. And I was so passionate about the brand and the team. And I mean, my team's amazing. And so it was like, how can we make this work? And where is the business need?
Yeah.
And at the time too, I was just like willing to fulfill any business need because I was like, I need to be here. So is copywriting what I want to do? No, but I know I can. Yeah. And I'm going to make myself helpful. And so that was how it did. And then it was such a natural transition. And it's been 3 years.
Damn. That's crazy.
Yeah.
What a cool story.
Yeah. And so there was a lot in between, right? Like she left and they were going to hire another senior marketer, and I sat them down and I said, please don't. Like, I know that this is my role. Just give me a chance. I was still so fresh there. I had only been there for like 6 or 7 months. And I was like, just give me a chance to prove myself. Don't hire right away. So they didn't. And then they promoted me into a senior manager role. So that was like, okay, I have a little bit more authority in my brain, right?
Yeah.
This is all just me and the way I'm treating myself. And then a year later is when I got the director title.
Damn.
Yeah.
That, I mean, also just being your like biggest advocate, you know what I mean? You really have to like number one, really go above and beyond and show people what you can do, and you do have to prove yourself. And we talk about that too, because it's like, okay, where's the line between knowing your worth and then also like taking a title demotion and like showing up somewhere and being like, let me show you what I can do. And I think it's different on a case by case basis, but I always say like, when you have that instinct that like, okay, this is an up and coming brand, this is a really big opportunity, that the chips outweigh that.
100%.
Take the demotion or whatever it is and prove your worth.
Yeah. And ask. I mean, I think whenever I do like mentorship speaking or I work with young women, I'm always like, you're the only person who can advocate for yourself. Yeah. You're the only person who sees the opportunity the way that you do and who knows what you want. And so the people you work for in any field are not mind readers. Yeah. So if you're sitting on your hands and you're not having the conversation, it's never going to happen. And I was scared as hell to have that conversation. And not only did I ask for my position, I basically told my boss what she should be doing with her position. Yeah. Thank God that went over well.
Right. Well, I think also I know so many of the women that you work with, and you guys, I think that like having that culture too is so apparent through the marketing of the brand and how successful the brand is. I actually asked Shay at an event not too long ago. I said, like, you know, I admire you so much because you want to talk about a fucking working bitch. Like, the fact that she's a mom, the fact that she has multiple business ventures, the fact that she can be in multiple places at once, the fact that just from a consumer standpoint, it's so evident how hands-on she is with beis. I said to her, how do you not, like, how can you do all of this stuff? How do you not have mom guilt? How do you? And she just said, you know, I always remind myself that I'm living life for the first time too. And she said, you can make time. She was like, you can make time anywhere. She's like, sometimes you got to answer your emails while you're on the toilet. Yeah. Like, you just got to find the time. But what I wanted to say is I'm curious about, as a woman working for, you know, in the same realm as someone like Shay, who's such a hardworking woman, how is that kind of inspired you? Because she's so hands-on with beis.
Unbelievably so. I've never met anyone like Shay in my life. Like, truly. I've never heard her say, I'm tired, I'm stressed. She's a workhorse, and she's so passionate. It's really crazy. And it's not even Shay specific. Like, if you take a step back, I've worked throughout my career with a lot of different influencer founded and celebrity founded brands. There is such a difference of somebody who puts their name on something and walks away, or just wants high level approvals of something, versus somebody who is ingrained in the brand. And that is what I've always loved the most about beis. Beis has grown with Shay, right? It was her need at the time was she's traveling, she's filming, she's doing all this stuff. There was the Weekender, there was the Rollers. She got pregnant, we had diaper bags. Her kids are growing up, we have kids. Like, it's been so organic to her. And that is because she is so close to everything that we do. And it's always my favorite question when people ask, like, how involved is she really? I'm like, you don't understand. Yeah. Like, she is the brand, you know? And it's really, that's what makes it so special.
Yeah.
And she's inspired me in so many ways. We were actually talking about this last night, and she was saying, you know, there's so many opportunities in your life to do whatever you want to do. But when you find that thing that feels this special, like, you'll do anything to keep it. And she was talking from her perspective. And I was like, that resonates with me so deeply, because there is not a day. I mean, I can be on vacation in the middle of Europe for the first time all year, and if I'm getting a text or I'm needed, I'm there. And that is not because there's no boundaries. It's because I'm so passionate about what we do that I feel so lucky to even be the one considered for the question. You know what I mean? The need. And it's,
oh yeah. I mean, I somebody that's probably worked with over hundreds of brands, it is so apparent when there is a community at a brand where everybody really just loves what they do. Yep. And like, that also is a privilege. And we talk about that too. Sometimes I hate giving the advice of, you know, if you hate your job, quit. Because the reality is, finding a job is not easy. Finding a job that you love is not easy. And at the end of the day, it sounds really nice to be like, yeah, everybody should love what they do, but people need to fucking pay their rent and buy their groceries and do whatever. And the the end goal is to do what you love, but you can just tell, as a consumer, before I even met any of you guys, and now obviously that I know you guys and I see how involved everybody is, it just it makes the brand so much stronger when everybody just really loves to be there.
Yeah.
And you see it in the branding, you see it on the socials, you see it everywhere. Like everybody is just really stoked to be there.
Yeah, always. And I think, listen, there's no world in which you could have a job that doesn't have issues.
Of
Every
course.
job does, and that's just life. But I say a lot that I'm lucky, and people always rebut that and say, no, you've worked really hard. I'm like, no, but I'm not conflating the two. I know that I worked hard. I can own my career and what I do. But the magic that I'm at and my team and the care, like I mean, you know, I've been going through a really, really tough time personally. And the way my team has shown up for me, like I could start crying right now. It's just, that is luck. And that's being in the right place at the right time. And it's creating those relationships. And I feel so deeply close to everyone that I work with. And that's always something that I've valued. Like, I think that any team that I've come from would say that I'm the people person and I like to connect with people, but there's just something different in the water at beis for sure.
Like now that you guys are in such a good position, you have such a strong social, you have such a strong face of the brand. Is there something that you look at other brands and say that a lot of brands are kind of making these mistakes?
Yeah. I mean, there's certain things I think of. One, I see a lot of piggybacking, which I understand to a degree, but if a brand is doing, and I don't mean beis, I mean in general, if a brand is doing something really well and they were the first to do it, you all of a sudden see brands around it doing the exact same thing in the same playbook, instead of, oh, that's a great idea, let's see how we could spin it in our creative way and what could we add to it that feels like us. It just starts to feel inauthentic. So I don't like that. But I would say the biggest thing would be brands that focus so much on selling and less on actually making you love and believe the brand.
100%.
And my friends always make fun of me because they're like, for somebody who leads brand marketing, you're one hell of a consumer. Like, you fall for marketing. I'm like, totally. I do. But it's like the brands that I follow are not even because I like the product. It's because I'm transfixed by the world.
100%.
And the community. And so that is what I'm drawn to as a marketer. So when I look at brands, even if I like the product and I go to their social media and it's just like, this promotion, this thing here, buy this, I'm like, I'm turned off.
Well, you also have an interesting perspective studying women's studies because that's how women consume. And you guys do a great job at that at beis. Like, we're not practical consumers in the sense of like, I need a luggage. Okay, luggage, great, that one looks good, right? It's like, well, we women fall in love with the branding, the lifestyle, the culture that's created, and then the product almost comes second.
It's an emotional purchase.
100%.
You want to feel good about whether it's a piece of jewelry or a beauty brand or the bag that you're traveling with. Like, you want to feel like you're making a statement. And, you know, I mean, this like signaling of labels and that's always existed, right? With like luxury and everything like that. But there's a difference if I want this nice thing just because it's that label, and I want this thing because I feel like I'm a part of something.
Totally.
And that's what's always gotten me as a marketer. And that's what I love. And I think we do really well at beis.
Yeah, you guys do. Okay, so you're, before you're 30, you're working this dream job, you're on a high, you're going through a lot personally.
I was like high of my life and low of my life.
Yes. And I think that's just very telling of life too, is that, I'm sure to some degree too, work has been a good escape for you. I know you're going through things personally, and you had gone through things personally that we had talked about. How has that, if you feel comfortable talking about that, how that's impacted what you're doing now, how you've allowed it to not let you, like you said, you are very optimistic and you've gone through things that could very easily shift that in somebody and shift someone's spirit. Can you talk about going through all the things that you're going through and how you still remained passionate and not jaded about what you're doing at work?
Yeah, it's like you always know when people care about you, and you know when people want the best for you. And I felt that way with my team. But when things in your life go south, and the way people show up for you is very important, and the way that my team has consistently showed up for me over the past few years has been insane, and I think really rare. 2 years ago, I went through a really big breakup, and it came out of nowhere, and my team really anchored me through that. And it was during that I learned the lesson of like how much they ride for me. And it was different things that were happening where something traumatic would happen, and I reached my phone to call my boss, or I'm calling my CEO, or I'm calling Shay, or I'm calling Casey, right? And I've had lifelong best friends who, of course, I'm also calling and talking
Right.
to, but like my gut started being like, these are my people. This is my safe space. And so that was just an interesting marker. And then they really helped me get back on my feet. They moved me into my new apartment when I moved out. Like they did everything. And so that, especially from a work perspective, I work 10 times harder when I give a shit.
Yeah.
And yes, I've always been a hard worker, but when I care and I feel like I am cared for in what? In turn?
Yeah. I got you.
I'm always going to be so loyal and passionate because you actually care about me, right?
Yeah.
And so I felt that, and I was on this new high, and they helped me get back on my feet, and I had a year really in between where I was feeling good again, and I was doing it, and we were doing amazing things at beis, and that breakup really like set my career on fire. So I was really grateful. And then for those who don't know, this fall in September, my mom got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and it was a really big shock. And I know I didn't know anything about pancreatic cancer beforehand. When we got the news, my mom immediately said, "Oh, that's the worst one. Like that is a death sentence." And I said, "What?" Like it was the most shocking thing. One, cancer was never on my mind. It's not something that runs in my family. And I think also, when you're younger that you're going to get to the age where you have to take care of your parents. Mm-hmm. I never thought I would be this young. Yeah. I thought I would be established with a family of my own and support and all of those things. And so it's just been really jarring, and I'm not going to cry in the pod.
Oh, yeah, I can cry all the time. You have fair grounds to cry.
But my team through the process has been like, there really are no words for what they've done for me and the way they've shown up for me and my family. I mean, sending meals, caring, sending presents, showing up. I went a little viral on TikTok because my boss sent a stripper to my house because she wanted to make my family laugh, and she thought my mom would be there, and it was a doctor.
Oh, wait, what? Wait, was this a male stripper?
Yes, his name was Dr. Rod. Shout out.
So it was you and your mom's doctor.
So it was supposed to be. This is really important.
Okay.
When she booked it,
it
was supposed to be me, my sister, my brother, my mom, who at the time was hooked up to an IV, had just gotten out of the hospital that day, and two of our friends. My mom was not feeling up to it. So we put her, I was living with her at the time. I went back to her place. My brother was like, "You know what? I'll stay with mom. Have fun. Like you've planned this night with your friends." Because I was just going to have like a little girls' night. Thank God. Because...
Oh, so you didn't know that there was going to be, you just
idea.
Thought it was a girls' night.
I love to host. I'm a big hoster. And I was like, just come over. It was Halloween season. I was like, let's have a little spooky night. I gave everyone a job. I was like, I'll cook. You're in charge of making a really fun cocktail. Liz, you're in charge of entertainment. And here's the thing. That's hilarious. Yeah.
She said, bet.
That was where I went wrong.
You're right, of course.
Because Liz is so creative that normally it's like wreath making.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Pumpkin carving.
Right.
Yeah. So she came over and she had all these little gift bags. And I was like, okay, this is going to be a fun game. Like, what are we doing? We're having some cocktails. We're eating dinner. She starts getting really weird. And I live in a super complicated apartment complex. And so she's like, "Oh, I had to get something delivered and it's lost." And she leaves. And I'm like, huh? And Casey follows her because Casey was there. And I said to her right as she was leaving, I was like, "Oh, did you send him the instructions?" Because I always send a paragraph to my friends for how to navigate. And she's like, "No, I didn't have time." And at the same time, Casey was like, "Yeah, I did." And I was like, so someone's lying. Something's up. They leave. They come back alone. Nothing in hand. I'm like, okay, what's going on? She's like, "Oh, he's parking and bringing it up." And I was like, that's not normal. Yeah. So what's happening here? And my sister made a joke. And my sister was like, "Oh, it wouldn't be funny if there was like a stripper lost in your building." And I was like, haha. And Liz just is quiet. And she's like, "You're going to be really disappointed that that's not it, huh?" And I was like, "No, honestly, like, 2 seconds later, we get a knock on the door, dressed in scrubs. Dr. Rod is ready to save the day. Yeah. And my favorite part is like, he didn't know. She briefed him. There's this, I'll show you guys the text. She sent him this long paragraph describing the situation. And he comes in, he's like, "Where's my patient?"
I am dead. Oh my God. Wait, did you was your first reaction? Like, did you call your mom? Was your mom?
I FaceTimed her. I was getting a lap dance. I FaceTimed her. She was like, "Thank God I didn't come today." She's like, "I'm not feeling my best or my hottest." I'm like, totally.
Wait, that is, oh my God.
But it's those little things. I know it's a funny story. It's actually funny because that video, it's crazy. 2 things. One, I've had so many calls the last few weeks where people are like, "Oh, I've seen you on TikTok." And I hear that sometimes. And I'm like, just
wait, I have to see the video. I can't believe I haven't seen it.
I'll show it to you. It's just a carousel that I posted. And recently it's been, I saw the stripper video. I'm like, yeah, I know.
That's hilarious.
But the craziest thing though, and people have said the whole time, when my mom got diagnosed, A few weeks later, I put it on my story and I was just asking for resources for support. Anytime I've ever asked for anything, like I went through bad eczema, which I have, and I can see in the camera, and I'm like, okay. Would you I can see my eczema on my collar. Oh. But when that happened to me, I put it on my story. I got all these resources, all these doctors, right? So I was like, okay, I know that if I post it, it's likely that there's someone who can help because we had no idea what was going on, no idea what to do. And the response was overwhelming. Like we had so much support and all this stuff. And people are like, wow, I can't believe you were so public about that. People are usually really private. And I'm like, well, one, I can't shut my mouth to save my life. Like I've always been an open book. But two, I needed the support and my family needed the support. And that video, the stripper carousel video, crazy, all of a sudden I got a message from the head of the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, and she was like, hey, my team sent me your video, I would love to talk to you. And this isn't, it's called, everyone calls it PanCan, and that was like the number one recommendation when my mom got diagnosed was reach out to PanCan. They have case managers, they have help, they're on the cutting edge of all treatment plans and all this stuff. And I just hadn't had time to because everything happened so fast. And so I got a call with her, the founder. And she was like, it was this video or this carousel you posted. So random too. She said it was like the executive producer of the show 911 who found the video and sent it to her, who's a friend of hers, and was like, you should help this girl. Like small world.
And
stuff.
And that is why you post stuff on social media.
That is the power of the internet.
Crazy.
Yeah. And that's why, I mean, there's so much good and so much bad on social media, but like that is
the good.
The good.
Yeah.
And she's been helping my family. She sent my mom presents. They're there. Like, we have a case manager that helps represent us now. Like it is crazy. And
holy shit.
All because I posted those things, you know? And so I know that was kind of a tangent from your question, but everybody has been like, you're not taking time, you know, you're still so focused on work, blah, blah, blah. And my work being the ones the most concerned. I mean, my team sat me down and was like, take a leave. Like, we're good. We've got it. I'm way too much of a control freak for that.
Yeah.
But I also in this process have been like, work is the only thing that makes me feel like myself right now.
Yeah.
And it's the only thing that's not changing all the time and scary. And I mean, it can be scary, but it's not scary. And I just couldn't let it go. And they've been so good. I mean, the amount of meetings I've missed and events I couldn't go to and last minute changes because I need to go to the hospital and I need to like, they've been so understanding and unbelievable. And it just, oh my God, I will work for this company until I'm in the ground because the way it's not just me, it's my family, you know? So that's the good part of it. You know, obviously it's been really hard and you just never know. Life can change in an instant and a lot of lessons come from it. And I think I'm still in the thick of it. So I'm still learning, but I will say, talk about growth and growing up when you weren't ready to. Being a caretaker is not for the weak.
Yeah.
And I also, there's a lot that our healthcare system in this country puts on the family and doesn't support you with. And that's been really disappointing and really scary. And I'm just learning so much.
Yeah.
And I could damn near be a doctor. We've been laughing about it a lot because my mom's a nurse practitioner at the cancer center offered me a job. They're like, you don't have to go to medical school. You can come here.
And you're like, you know, what's another fucking hat at this point? The woman who works.
The woman who
works. That's, well, I mean, you also, I feel like, you know, no one ever wants to be in that situation. And I'm sure nobody would ever feel like they're ready to be a caretaker. But I feel like you have had so much experience in all of these different pockets that have, I can imagine that you are a wonderful caretaker. And I'm sure your mom would agree.
She says, I'm an angel. But then 2 seconds later, she'll be like, you're a bitch.
Well, that's just moms. At least you get angel.
I just don't always have the gentlest touch, you know? Like she's been in bed for 3 days. I'm like, get up. We're showering and we're going on a walk.
Well, that's good. I
think
she's
that's like, no. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah. How are you not like, obviously, like, you know, work-wise, I always say like the ideal situation is to work with all your friends, right? And I think that and that it's your escape and that it's the thing that feels normal. But how are you able to still, like, has there been any, do you have any of your own personal rituals or things that are doing or you've had to implement so that you can still show up to work and kind of like focus on whatever you need to do and not lose that spark that you have?
It's something that I'm actively trying to do. Everyone says to you when you're going through something like this, make sure you're taking care of yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup. I hear that all the time. And the unfortunate reality is when you're in the thick of it, that's not even possible.
You're pouring from an empty cup.
I'm pouring from an empty cup. I've been pouring from an empty cup. And it's hard because I start to see it. Like my sister who doesn't live here flew into town after my mom had a major procedure. And the night my sister got here, I like dropped to the ground, 103-degree fever. I was out for 5 days. And it was because my body recognized that I had support, you know, and it was like, okay, you're safe to fall apart. They've got this.
Yeah.
And things like that signal in my brain, right? You're not taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
And so I've had to actively try to do that. I will say like the first thing to go was working out, which for me is such a mental thing. And it's just like even the time that I could, I'm so fucking exhausted.
Yeah.
Like the idea of even walking on the treadmill is like a nightmare. And so I've implemented more walks outside because being outside feels good and getting fresh air. And I've also really started having earlier mornings, which I know might sound weird, but even having like 30 minutes to lay in my bed and not have to do anything has made a huge difference. Because typically when I get up, I grab my phone, I have emails, I have texts, my mom needs something, you know, and so it's just like boom, boom, boom. But if I set my alarm a half hour earlier, 45 minutes earlier, I get that time to myself.
Yeah.
When my phone is still on Do Not Disturb and I can read a book or I can scroll on TikTok if that's what I want to do. You know, it's my choice. Things like that. But outside of that, I'm actively working on rituals. I wish I could talk about it in like a reflective, inspiring way. But honestly, I'm in the thick of it. Yeah. And so it's been difficult.
Is your mom the same way? Like when it comes to work,
has
that been a challenging thing for her? Because I know she was working.
Yeah. So she manages the store at Dish, which is where she met you. I also would be remiss to not mention that my mom is the head of the Christina KIRKMAN fan club. And the reason your demo is hot moms.
Yeah. I literally was like, I'm sorry, did you say you were her mom? Like smoke. I was like, I always say, I got fucking baddie moms.
You do have baddie moms.
I got baddie moms on the algorithm.
She's obsessed.
Yeah, I
and
love
so
her.
the amount of times you've even checked in, she's like, I feel better.
I think it's gone.
I'm better. But my mom's story is really interesting because she was a stay-at-home mom forever. She never worked. And then she's had to, you know, life circumstances, had to start working the last few years. And that's another mental battle that I can't even begin to understand. You know, she's in her late 50s and all of a sudden she's like, I need to get a job for the first time. That was really scary for her. And I know that was a mental battle. And it took a while. She started working at different stores, worked her way up to a manager. And of course, like that hustles within our family. But I know that there was a lot of insecurity there. And then when she landed at Dish, like hit her stride. She loves it. They're a great brand. She loves what she does. She gets to meet so many fun people and everyone, you know, it's a really great place to be in.
I'm really proud of you. That's like a lot of stuff that's going on. And I think it is important though to have, you know, I'm sure when people tell you like to stop working, you're kind of like, well, this is also my escape too. Like this
it's also my livelihood.
Yeah, of course.
Like I can't not. Honestly, from like the humorous side of it, I always struggled mentally because I was like, I'm not really sure I have hobbies. Like I work really hard. I have all my friends and life and I love to go out and whatever. But I don't have hobbies. And so I always thought like if work was stripped away, what do I have? And that's an insecurity of mine. And because like I love to read and write, but what can I do with that? You know, I mean, things, but
I think you can do a lot with reading and writing.
You know what I mean? Like if my computer was taken away, like what would I have? And so this is something I'd been thinking about like in my late 20s. And then my mom's care, I've had to like get really physical with her care and the things that I'm doing and can now do. And I'm like, okay, well, good news is I could be a nurse.
You're like, if all else fails. Yeah, but you're so wrong in that because all of the things that you're really good at, they have nothing to do with your job title.
Yeah.
All of the things, Thank your hobbies are like you're unbelievable at branding and marketing. That's not something that needs to exist in like that's what I was saying. Like branding and marketing is everything. Mm-hmm. Once you understand the psychology of consumers and brands and how people buy things, and you're so intuitive with people, you can literally do anything. And that's probably also why you're a great caretaker. Like you're very intuitive. You can probably understand what your mom needs. Like you can be a voice for somebody that maybe doesn't have a voice in that moment. Mm-hmm. I think that you're very wrong in that.
Wow, but I wish I recorded that so I could listen to it.
I understand the humor. I mean, I feel... We did. We have a whole fucking podcast.
Can I put this on my Hatch alarm clock?
Yes, you can.
I'll wake up to that.
I feel like, God, what was I? Sorry. I'm like so, my brain is thinking of a million things at once because I'm just really blown away by what you do. But I feel like you're probably very similar to me, that you use comedy as a coping mechanism. I see it in your personality. I think that's why I connect with you.
Yeah.
Because usually funny people and, you know, got stuff going on.
Yeah, it's the trauma.
And
Yeah.
And I see you do it because I do the exact same thing. I mean, that's what this whole podcast is about, is,
Yeah.
you know, kind of masking it with humor.
I also don't think that that's a bad thing. I mean, listen, it's definitely a coping mechanism. And it's also, I think, a comfort thing. I am not somebody who likes to fall apart all the time.
Yeah.
And I, especially with something like this, I think the good part about posting it is all the support I've gotten. The hard part about it is I get a lot of questions and a lot of people checking in and all of that. And the number one thing I've learned in this process is how overwhelming just communication is. Like, I used to be someone who responded to every text message, and now you're lucky if I get there within a day. Like, my phone is my least favorite thing now. And I started to post more on social media because I'm like, at least I can press a button and step back. Like, I can't even get back to my comments, you know? And so that's been a big part of it. And I think it's a coping mechanism in the sense that when people ask me, I don't necessarily want to give all the details all the time. You know, like if I'm in a work meeting and someone's like, hey, how's your mom? I'm like, she's fine. Like, I just want
to be here and do this thing.
I need to compartmentalize. Totally. And so I will make the joke. And I've always been that way. My family's this way. Like, my family is so witty and funny, and we've always processed like this. And now my team is that way. Like, we have so many jokes around this. Well,
they sent you a fucking stripper.
I know.
They sent you a fucking stripper.
I know.
But like, that's the stuff that you need in those moments. But I think that's also an interesting thing, you saying that, because it is something that's not talked about. Just being on social media now in general is it is quite overwhelming that once you put something out there and you're authentic about something, it lives on forever. And like, even me, I'll post a very vulnerable thing, or I'll talk about something, and in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to post about it. I'll get whatever feedback or whatever, and then it's done, and then we'll move on to the next thing. But like, that thing is always going to exist. It's always going to find its way into the algorithm. I'll get questions about it 6 months later on a different video, and that's really overwhelming, that communication. And sometimes it feels kind of feels like you're drowning, because you feel like you're letting people down because you can't respond and you can't be everywhere at once. And that's like, I feel like that's the double-edged sword of putting yourself out there.
Yeah. And that's why when we talk about growth and how much you change, I've seen a huge shift in myself, where I used to be such an incurable people pleaser, and I would feel so guilty if I wasn't the person like the loudest in the room and showing up for everyone and helping everyone. And you learn through these processes, like, where to protect your peace and your boundaries. And I've had a lot of people in my life, including people on my team, be like, you don't have to be that person today. Like, it's okay.
We're very similar in that way.
It's not something where I can just text you, things are good, because they're not.
Of course.
And also, no one wants you to reply and be like, things are bad.
Yeah.
Things are bad right now.
Yeah.
You know? And
that's so the pressure of even just technology and how accessible all of our people are to us, that like, we don't ever have. Sometimes when something happens and you put it out there, you don't even have a second to kind of reflect on it, because you're constantly, you know, tying up those ends.
Yeah. And I'm so grateful, because the alternative is that no one gives a shit, right?
Of course.
So I'm super grateful that people care as much as they do. I've really had to be like, not responding does not make you a bad person. It does not make them hate you. Like, it's like my mantra.
I see it. I appreciate it. And I just can't like close that loop. I used to be responsive on just text messages alone. I used to answer everybody. I have like messages from like weeks and weeks ago that I now do this thing where I keep them on unread until I know that I can open them and read them, because if I open them and I can't respond, that's when I feel bad, so I just leave it on. But all of that has been really challenging for me, you know, like I used to be at every birthday and everybody's, you know, I have a couple friends that are singers. I used to be at every single one of their performances, and like, I went out to celebrate one of my close friends' birthday yesterday, and it was the first time I had seen them since August. And you feel bad, because you're that people pleaser part of you starts to die. But then at one point you're like, well, when do I get to please myself?
Right.
When is that time where I get to show up for me?
Big question.
Yeah. But it's hard. And then the self-deprecating is like, well, people are going to think I'm an asshole. Right. They're going to think that I'm selfish. They're going to think like I'm too good for them now, that whatever. But the reality is you just have so many tabs open, and you're just, I'm one thing at a time, and everybody has some other shit going on in their life. Right. Yeah. And there's different seasons, and everybody's just doing their fucking best.
I know it's really crazy. I think obviously I've learned a lot about myself with work, with my mom, with all these things, but also with dating. And it's on the way here, I was having a conversation with my best friend who lives in Florida, and I was just like, I'm so grateful I'm single right now going through this, because I definitely wasn't in the right relationship for the support that I need now, but also because I'm learning so much about what I actually need, which is so different than what I thought.
Yeah.
I've always been hyper independent. I've always taken care of myself. Everyone I've ever dated needed me more than I needed them in terms of emotional support. And I'm a fixer. Like, that's my past, right? And I thought that was what I wanted because that's what I'm most comfortable with.
Yeah.
And now I'm realizing, like, oh my God, I just need someone to take care of me.
Yeah.
Like, I am not only taking care of my mom and taking care of things at work and taking care of, you know, friends, siblings, family. It's like, when I come home, I'm now taking care of everything and and I don't even mean financial, like, bills, sure. And I've been having these thoughts where I'm like, I have such an extreme amount of care and love in my life, but I've never had that in that way from a romantic partner. And I'm confused on why I've spent my 20s settling for anything less than that. And I think when you go through something like this and you're single, you're able to have that perspective and look out. And I'm like, oh, wow, I'm really not settling again.
Yeah.
Like, I would rather live this version of my life single until I meet somebody than ever settle again.
Life has a very, very weird way of showing you what you need. And usually the timing is terrible and the situation fucking sucks. But you come out of it and you're like, okay, I saw what I needed to see.
It's work opportunities, it's relationships. Like, when things go wrong and you're down on yourself, you think it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
And then you step back 6 months later and you're like, thank God.
100%.
Like, I tell everyone I know, the best thing that ever happened to me was getting dumped. Everyone I know. And I feel the same way with work opportunities from the past that didn't go the way that I wanted, or I didn't get the promotion I wanted, or I didn't get the position I wanted. Thank God.
Yeah.
Because look where I am.
Totally.
You know?
Okay, I wanted to close up with a few things. The best advice work advice you've ever gotten, if you have any, if you've had any worse, bad advice that you would give specifically to young women too that feel like they're struggling with finding the thing that they love or working in a good environment or whatever that is. And do you have a favorite beis product?
Those were so many questions. Unfortunately, a part of the fight or flight I'm in is my memories.
Right. That's okay. We got time.
Okay, I would say worst advice is easier than best advice. When I first moved to LA and I was working my way up the ranks in the agency world, everyone kept saying to me, just wait your time. Wait your time. These are the steps. This is how many years I was in that role. This is how many years I was in that role. Wait your time. And I hated that. Yeah. I was like, yes, I want to sow my oats and earn my keep around here. And I'm going to work really hard, but I know what I want. And I'm not going to sit on my hands just because you're telling me to. Right. So that was the worst advice. Best advice. Okay, there's a lot of good advice, but I would say it's actually been recently more so than anything. I've been having a lot of people in my life telling me, trust your gut, trust your gut, trust your gut. And I've always been somebody who's done that, but it's been validated recently of so many people above me and around me being like, you know, and you don't need to take what the internet thinks or what so-and-so thinks or what this brand marketing news story is telling you to do. You know, and you know what's right. You know, our consumer, you know this. And so that's been really helpful. And I would also say just networking in general. This is the advice that I always give people is the power of your network. And I think the biggest mistake people make right now is in college. Thank God we didn't have social media the way that we did or that it is now, because people are like, DM them, LinkedIn, ask for a coffee chat. And it feels so, there's power in that, but it feels so transactional. Like, talk about places that I feel the most paralyzed. When I open my requested DMs or my LinkedIn, I'm like,
oh yeah, I'm sure.
I don't even know what to do because I want to help, you know, and I want to give advice, but I don't have the capacity. And I think people learn networking in school or from their peers as like, okay, shake the hand, introduce yourself, get the number, have the coffee, ask the question, but you're not relationship building. And I have always been I built my career on my relationships. And people say to you, oh, that's work, that's personal, keep them separate. I've never had that line. And I think that's why I am where I am. And listen, you need to be a people person and read the room. You know when to say what and you know when to not. But I think my network is the way that it is because I care so much about the people that I meet. And it's not just what can you do for me? It's like, how can I support you? What do you need? And the biggest manifestation for that, I think, was this year when the LA fires happened. I tapped my entire network to support. I was like, what can we do? We're going to turn the beis office into a donation center. We're going to help as many families as we can. And there was like 47 brands who donated over 25,000 products. Like it was crazy. And I was like, yeah, that's because we've taken the time to have the lunch meeting, to ask about the children, to ask about the sick parent, right? Like you are really networking based on care. And that's such a different thing to do than just like, okay, I want your job. So this is the 3 questions 100%. I'm going to ask.
Because then in the long run, those are the people that, you might need as a referral, or you're going to need, those are the people that are going to call and put your name in a hat.
100%.
And they're not going to do that because you shook their hand at some fucking random party, right?
Yeah. And I think people too look at the jobs they want and think that's who I need to talk to. But It's actually your peers and the people around you.
Yep.
Because by the time you get to where you want to be, everyone around you are the people that you met along the way.
Totally.
And so you need to make sure that you're supporting each other and you're mentioning each other's names. And, I saw this role, I think you'd love it. Like, that is so much more important than getting the chance to hear somebody in your dream role speak. Obviously, that's amazing and there's value in that, but podcasts exist and books exist, right? Like, you can read about it. You need to be building your network widely from your peer level up.
Yeah. And then what advice do you, that was incredible.
That was really, the advice was in there as well.
Yeah, I guess the right advice was in there. Just network.
Tangent building.
Yeah. What's your favorite beis product? Because I always get, anytime I post about beis, it's like, okay, I want to make the investment in beis. Where, like, what size is that one that you just posted? Is the medium? And I'm like, okay, what is like the one, someone has never got anything from beis? What is like the one product? That
you definitely need our rollers. Our carry-on roller is amazing. Yeah. For me, I am such a chronic overpacker, and it's the only carry-on bag I've ever been able to get everything I need in. And obviously, I'm a large check-in girly if I'm checking. So the big bags, they're amazing. The weight indicator, they've just simplified my life a lot with the function. Silent Heroes, our cosmetic pouch is my favorite product.
And the fucking brush, makeup brush, fucking loving that thing.
I love that I can roll down the sides and all the products stand up and they're exactly where I left them when I'm traveling. I just pop it on the counter. I don't have to take all my bottles out. I love that bag.
Yeah.
And then we have just like a ton of little pouches and sets, and I keep my purses and my bags really organized because of them, and that's changed my life because it's just less clutter.
Yeah.
Everything has a place.
I just love how many it's kind of like the Starbucks secret menu.
Right.
Like, some people think it's just like, oh, this is just whatever. And then Shay will be like, there's a slot for a water bottle and you can hang things. And it's like, damn, I got to like go down a rabbit hole to figure out all these like.
Hilarious.
It is. It's like the secret menu, because I think that when you're getting stuff, but that's what you guys do so good at on social media is like showing all of those features. That fucking bag. I love that fucking bag. That magnetic, the
tech pouch? Wait, where are you?
On my chair.
Oh, I can't see it.
What is this? This is my new favorite fucking bag.
Oh, yeah. Our essential weekender.
That's my favorite. Essential.
Do you know whose favorite bag that is?
Who?
My mother.
God, me and your mom, man. We are besties. Okay, tell everybody how they can follow you, how they can keep up with you. Don't fucking blow up our DM. Actually, maybe don't tell them how to follow you.
It's okay. I honestly, the reason I bring that up is because I feel bad.
No, I know.
I want to answer. I really do.
We know.
I'm Sydney Blake Thomas on Instagram and TikTok. Easy, simple.
And congratulations. She is Forbes 30 under 30.
Thank you.
We love her. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I love you.
Thanks for coming on my pod. Our working girl. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you next Thursday. Yeah. Bye.